Hello AOS fans, Robin here, back once more with a deck review for you, and this week I have chosen to play the Gitz. Yes, I'm going to play the Gitz, and let's see what I've got in my deck. It's a variation on my Scurry deck that I played a little while ago. It's largely the same deck, but there has been a new BAR list and two new warbands since then, so I might have swapped a few different things in and out. It hasn't actually changed as much as I expected it to. Running through my objectives, I've got cover ground for score immediately power. Cover ground, it's not an easy one for the Gitz to score, but you have got cards like Flayway Crystal to score it, and then Spectral Wings. Once they're inspired, they will then move 6. So cover ground's in there. Escalation, everybody's favourite / least favourite card. Our Only Way Out, and I've gone for Our Only Way Out and Supremacy in this deck. I tinkered with the idea of putting in the tactical supremacies, which after having read John's review of his Eyes of the Nine deck, I thought, well, maybe it's better because they're worth 2 and they only need 2 models. But actually, the Gitz numerical supremacy, I think this is better, with the advantage with the Eyes of the Nines. They've got the blue horror who can transport pretty much to anywhere and pick up the numbered one you're missing. If you remember, tactical supremacy are the ones that are like 1 and 2 or 1 and 4. The objectives hold. And Our Only Way Out is any, but of course it's 3. You've got to hold 3 objectives. In the end, I went for Our Only Way Out. Superior Tactician, I nearly took this out. This has been restricted, but it ended up in there. I've got some score immediately cut in here, so hopefully I can pull that off. Well Guarded, with the new board that scores that automatically. Well, not automatically, you've got to get through to the end round, but you're starting off in that position. I think that's a good card to have for the Gitz. They seem to like the most likely to score Well Guarded. Mad Scurry. Mad Scurry, now this is a Scurry deck, so you kind of almost have to have Mad Scurry in here. You've got to move 5 fighters in one turn. They've got to be surviving. That's the tricky bit with the Gitz. You've got to keep your Gitz alive, which may or may not happen. We'll have to wait and see. Obliterated. I think this is a shoe-in for every single Gitz deck. Keep Snurk out of the way at the beginning. Make sure you don't get him killed. Fire him up, and then off you go with Obliterated. And it can actually inspire you all in one fell swoop if you can. Score the 2 glory immediately and take 1 model out. It's 3 glory, everybody inspired. Ganging up. Now, I had success with this in the Gitz game. This is going to depend on who I play and whether I get board set up and things like that. Ganging up is if you sit around an opposing fighter, particularly useful with blocked hexes. Can't use lethal hexes on this one, unlike Nowhere to Go, where you can lose a lethal hex, which I assume is why lethal hex, the Nowhere to Go is only 1 glory, but they are score immediately cards. That's why they're in there. We'll have to see whether we can manage to score them this time. Keep them guessing, again, I think is great for the goblins because you can use their Scurry ability to count towards it, and you've got Snurks for another card ability, and you've got good economy because the Scurry ability fires off the Scurry, and then it also is a move action as well. So that's pretty handy all round. Martyred, because you're going to lose a Git, likely to be first. So that's why, especially in this deck where there isn't any fight, I'm not really planning on doing any fighting, or trying to avoid doing any fighting, except with maybe the Squigs. Nowhere to Go I've just spoken about, and Supremacy I've covered already as well. And the Gambits, well, the Gambits, what have we got? We've got fairly standard for me, I think. Distraction, Hidden Path, ready for action. Sharp Ball, vital for the trying to score Nowhere to Go. Spectral Wings, again, good for cover ground. Tantalising Prize for much the same reason, and for getting on an objective Tantalising Prize. It's not perfect Tantalising Prize. It was the kind of card I kept swapping in and out, and in the end I went for it. Quick Advance, Sneaky Step, all good for pushing. Centre of Attention, brilliant for drawing people towards you. We're trying to get some lethal hexes actually in this game to try and crunch Pete down onto the lethal hexes. Now, Centre of Attention is good for that, as is Irresistible Pride, also good for obviously getting on objectives. And Confusion is in there too. There was a discussion on the previous deck about whether to include things like Invisible Walls and some other slowing down ploys. I kind of ummed and ahed about it, and they did. There are iterations with this in there, and in the end, I left them out. I kind of feel like with the coverage you've got of the board with the Gitz, okay, yes, it could be handy. There are times when I'm sure if I've got a beefed up Morag and he's out of range, I really will wish I had Invisible Walls. But with the Gitz being everywhere, there's always somebody somewhere who's likely to be able to hit them. So I've kind of got rid of him, didn't put in Invisible Walls. I might regret that, we'll have to see. I think this warband is probably weakest against sort of highly mobile warbands, Scritch maybe, the Reavers. They can outmaneuver or equally maneuver the goblins, and then obviously their weakness of those 2 warbands is that they don't hit that hard, but they don't need to against the goblins. So I think that may have been why they are come unstuck. Here are the upgrades. I've got Acrobatic, Deathly Fortitude, the Formless Key, Hero's Mantle. Hero's Mantle was suggested on my previous deck, and hopefully I can keep Zarbag alive to score it. Formless Key does require being on an objective, but the 2 restricted keys ended up not being in here. I favoured both Deathly Fortitude and Sudden Growth over the 2 keys, or the Destiny to Meet and the key that gives you +1 glory. Perhaps that was a mistake, but I think keeping Snurk alive and keeping Zarbag alive probably quite important. Bag of Tricks, last minute substitution. Again, I kind of thought, well, actually, this may be useful towards the end of the game if I need Fameway Crystal, Acrobatic I might use it for, or the keys at the end of the game. So a Bag of Tricks is in there. Again, I'm not 100% sure it's a brilliant card, but I placed it in there. Champion's Fortitude for rerolling defense dice. Fameway Crystal, for obvious reasons. Great Fortitude for beefing somebody up. Similarly, Tome of Vitality. Tome of Offerings. This I read about in Bryce's write-up of his new Gitz deck. And he said, you might as well have it rather than, say, Destiny to Meet or something like that, or one of the keys, because it's not restricted yet. And you put it on Snurk, and you're likely to score at least 1 extra glory, which is the same as having a key. And if you're lucky, you might score 2. So that's why Tome of Offerings is in there. Because I think it is a very, very good card. So there are the upgrades. I'm not overly confident with this deck. I think a lot of it's going to depend on board position and where the objectives end up and whether I can correct choke points. So maybe relying a little bit on winning the roll, which is perhaps not a good idea. It is going to be for a best of 3, so hopefully I can average it out and see how it goes. For the best of 3, of course, you'll only get that if you do sponsor us on Patreon on the $5 or above level. So do consider doing that. We have good fun over on Patreon. We've got a few changes in the wings, which you will hear more about. We will hopefully be putting more and more content on Patreon. So do consider joining us over there. But until next time, enjoy your battles in the Mirrored City, and I will see you soon. Bye!